All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us again for one of our Tiger Talks. We are really excited to get to talk today with Kelsey Ryan, who is the coordinator for Fraternity and Sorority Life here at the University of Memphis. And for those of you who haven't tuned in before, my name is Lindsay Bray, and I'm the senior coordinator for Parent and Family Services here at the University of Memphis. So we're excited to be able to bring this to you to give you a little bit of more information about what fraternity and sorority life will look like this year on campus, and what recruitment in particular will look like on our campus. Things are changing, but that's okay. We still have those opportunities for our students to get involved and engaged in those ways. So thank you so much, Kelsey, for joining us today.
Thanks, Lindsay. I'm really excited to be here and answer any questions that I can about fraternity and sorority life.
So to get us started, can you tell us a little bit about what fraternity and sorority life looks like on our campus? And for those who may not be as quite familiar, give us a little bit about what kind of those organizations are.
Absolutely, sure. So Greek life on campus, or fraternity and sorority life at the University of Memphis, we have 23 organizations which make up 3 different councils. And so what that means, 23 chapters, and the 3 councils are kind of umbrella groups, governing bodies that oversee those different organizations. So what we have on campus is we have our NPHC, which is our historically African American organizations. We have all 9 of those organizations on campus. We have our Panhellenic organization, which is 8 women's organizations, and then we have our IFC Council, which is 6 men's organizations.
Great. So if a student is interested in getting involved, what is the way that how do they go about doing that?
So I feel like a lot of my answers that we're going to have for the session are going to be, well, it depends on what council you're interested in. So I'm just going to preface it with that. All of our councils do things a little bit differently. And so as of right now, we are actually in the middle of IFC informal recruitment. It started last Monday and it's going through September 18th. This is an informal process, so it's more on the individual chapters to be reaching out to potential new members, for those potential new members to be reaching out to the individual chapters to let them know they're interested in participating in their virtual recruitment process that they're having. For Panhellenic, our process actually starts on Wednesday, and so I think this is being posted on Wednesday, so it starts today with an orientation, and then the first round of parties starts on Friday. And so that sign up has it closed last week, but there will be more opportunities. If you have a daughter who is interested in joining a sorority, there will definitely be more opportunities later in the fall and also in the spring. And then our NPHC organizations, they do things a little bit differently than our IFC and Panhellenic. They don't all have an intake process at the same time, so it's up to the discretion of the individual chapter. So if you have a student who is interested in our NPHC organizations or LTA, which is our Latino organization on campus, they should reach out to that organization directly. I always recommend following them on social media to learn more about when they're going to be having events, virtual right now, but hopefully in person soon. Showing up to those events, getting to know the men and women in the organization, and express your interest that way.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit about what that recruitment will look like this year, since typically it would be more of an in-person process for our students?
Yeah, so right now everything is virtual. So for Panhellenic recruitment, we are gearing up to have a full Panhellenic formal recruitment process on Zoom. So we have, recommended to our potential new members that they have a quiet space in their residence hall or their home where they can plug in and be focused on what's going on. There aren't a lot of distractions. But yeah, right now everything is virtual for all of our councils. So the IFC men that are in the middle of the process, everything that they're doing is virtual as well. We've encouraged them all to be creative and think outside the box and host some virtual events that aren't just conversations on Zoom. So using different gaming platforms, Netflix parties, things like that, where they can still get to know the PNMs and interact with them.
So for those who are not as familiar with fraternities and sororities, what exactly do they do? What is their role? How do they fit into the university culture?
So I think the better question is, what do fraternities and sororities not do? Because they kind of do a little bit of everything. So our fraternities and sororities, we really look to them as the leaders on campus. And so, some of the statistics that we talk about at all the new student orientations is that when you think about any of the leadership roles that we have on campus, you think about SGA, the student government, you think about our orientation guides, you think about our frosh camp counselors. A large percentage of all of them are also Greek students. So our Greek students are they're really involved on campus. They're really passionate about campus and the campus community. Part of being in a fraternity or sorority is committing to a philanthropy and doing service hours. So especially with our NPHC organizations, in order to join one of those organizations, you have to have leadership and service experience before expressing interest. So some big things that that our fraternities and sororities consider and also want to be a part of on campus.
What kind of time commitment do students need if they are going to join?
So it's really you put in what you want to get out. So what I can say is that for sure there's pretty much a 1 to 2 hour chapter meeting either once a week or once every 2 weeks that everybody who is participating in is expected to attend. In addition to that, it's however much you want to participate. So our organizations hold a lot of different events. They hold philanthropy events, they hold social events, they hold events within their own organizations, so brotherhood, sisterhood events. A lot of those are optional. There are a few of them that are mandatory, required through your participation, but a lot of them are optional as well. And then in addition to that, the chapters will typically have study hours and things like that to help the members focus on their studies, but also get to know each other. And so if you want to be at the fraternity house or sorority house every day of the week, there's definitely something going on where you can be there hanging out with your fraternity or sorority members, studying, spending time together. If you want to be one of the members that really focuses on the chapter meeting and isn't around that much after that, that's an option as well.
What do they require any sort of GPA requirement or any kind of academic requirements for the students, in case there's a parent out there that might be a little concerned that this might be too much for our students to handle? Sure. And get involved with?
Absolutely, yes. So most of our organizations have a requirement that you have to have at least a 2.5 in order to participate. So if you are a first semester freshman coming into school, we will look at your high school GPA. If you are in college, have been in college for at least a semester, we'll look at your collegiate GPA. So there is that minimum expectation when you join. And some of the organizations actually have an even higher recommendation than that, but typically the minimum is a 2.5. And then once they're in, they are expected to keep their GPAs up. So on average, fraternity and sorority members have a higher GPA than their non-Greek counterparts. We see that at the University of Memphis when we process grade reports at the end of the semester every semester. I can tell you, I pulled up some data so that I was prepared for this. So for this past spring semester, when we look at cumulative GPAs, the all undergraduate GPA was a 3.03. When we look at the cumulative GPA for our Greek students, it's a 3.31. So every semester we see that our Greek students on average have a higher GPA than their non-Greek counterparts. In addition to that, our Greek students in the spring, over 15% of them had a 4.0 for the semester. So normally we average around 10%. So I was really excited to see an uptick in that in the spring semester when, there was a change mid-semester and things got crazy. But they really pulled through, they really stuck it out. And so academics are extremely important to our Greek students.
That's really impressive for our students and to be able to showcase them in that way. That's wonderful.
I'm really proud of them.
Yeah. The spring semester was not an easy semester for a lot of our students, so that is really, really impressive. I think that just showcases kind of the camaraderie and what it means to be part of one of those organizations. So you talked a little bit about how they do so much on our campus. And then you mentioned in that too, the philanthropies that they do. How do they encourage their students to be part of the community and make an impact either on campus or off campus as part of being a member?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that's just kind of expected when you join an organization. Most of the students join because they want to find, a group of like-minded individuals that they can experience all these different things on campus with. They also join because they want to be a part of something that's bigger than themselves, and they want to be able to give back to the campus and also give back to the community. So it's almost an expectation that when you join, those are going to be things that you're interested in. Those are some values that you have and things that you want to be a part of. So we do make sure that we offer as many opportunities to be able to complete those as possible. So there's a number of different ways for the students to get involved in leadership roles. As we mentioned, each organization has their own philanthropy that they support. A lot of them have a national philanthropy and then also a local philanthropy. So not only are they supporting something through their national organization that everybody who wears those letters supports that same organization, but then they also have something local in the Memphis community that they support as well. So there's a lot of different ways for them to get involved and to participate in that way.
So some of our parents and families who maybe they didn't join a fraternity or sorority when they were in college may have seen many TV shows and movies and have kind of a different view of them. Can you talk a little bit about what is that representation? What does it actually look like in real life?
Absolutely. So the representation that you see in TVs and movies is not accurate at all. It's, blown out of proportion. It's dramatized. I can tell you that when I went to undergrad, I was a first generation college student. And so when I got on my campus, I 100% believed the movies and TVs that I had seen. And I was like, I do not want to be a part of that. That just does not look like something that I'm interested in. That doesn't align with, what I believe in, what my values are. And once I got to campus and actually started to get to know some of the women in the Panhellenic organizations on campus, I realized how wrong I was. And so started to learn more about really what Greek organizations represent, why they were founded, and why they still exist 150 years later. So I can promise you that those are very dramatic. It's TVs and movies. It's done for, it's dramatic on purpose. That's not what we see at the University of Memphis. I can guarantee that. What we have are a great group of student leaders who are really passionate about the Memphis community.
And can you talk a little bit about our anti-hazing policy that we have in effect for those groups as well?
Absolutely, yes. So University of Memphis has a strict zero hazing policy, no hazing, zero tolerance policy. So what I can tell you, to be completely transparent, is in the past, there have been some organizations who haven't abided by those policies. The university took swift action investigating all of those claims, and those organizations that were found responsible are no longer on our campus. So we do take it very seriously if we investigate any and all reports that we get, and if there is something that's going on that doesn't align with the policies that we have in place, the university takes swift action to correct it. And so on that note, though, I will say, Lindsay, that we can't be everywhere all the time as administrators. And so for parents who are watching, we really do look to you to be partners in this, that if you have a son or daughter who is going through a process or has joined an organization and something doesn't sound quite right to you, please reach out to me and let me know. Like I said, we will investigate everything. And so we would rather have a report come in, us look at it and be like, nope, you know what, there was some miscommunication, or this isn't really what was happening, so that we can take care of it and make sure that we're keeping all the students safe. So all of our students, we expect that they have a positive and safe experience in Greek life. And so if there's anything that's going on that negates that, we need to know.
And that's a really great point, that even parents can be part of this and really help too. Are there other ways that parents are involved sometimes with these organizations or their families?
So there are ways that they can be. So all of our organizations, for one, typically have some sort of parents weekend where the parents can come to town if they're available to learn more about the organizations. Sometimes it's around a football game, sometimes it's in the spring with different things. So there's definitely, an opportunity, Parents Weekend, to participate in. I would highly recommend it, so that you can meet your students' friends and see what they're doing on the weekends. But in addition to that, I would recommend for the parents to just be a support person for their student while they're going through this. Um, so, students are in college now. A lot of times they're away from home. And so one of the great things about Greek life is that it's kind of a home away from home for our students. So that's definitely something that we want for all of the men and women who are going through the process, is for them to find that place where they feel like it's home, and find a group of like-minded individuals that they can learn and grow with. And so being supportive of that process, asking them questions, helping them think through the decision-making process of which organization is the best fit for them, but then ultimately supporting whatever decision it is that they make. So especially for parents that we have on here that may also be Greek, it's always a huge honor for your student to be a legacy to an organization and for them to have the same letters as you, but recognizing that all of the chapters are different and bring their own unique positives to the table. And even if you were a member of the same organization on the same campus 20 years ago, it could have changed a little bit since then. So recognizing that your student knows what's best for them also, and just supporting them in the decision that they make wherever their home's going to be.
That's a really great point. Every student needs to find their own home, and for themselves. So that's a really wonderful point to make. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
So we've talked a little bit about the ways that students are benefited while they're in college by being a member of one of these organizations. What are some of the ways that you have seen or heard from students and how they have benefited after college?
Yeah, great question. I love this question. So Greek life is, one of the sayings that we have is that it's not for 4 years, it's for life. So a lot of what you do is definitely during your college experience, but fraternity and sorority life is just as beneficial, if not more beneficial, once you become an alum. And I say that being an alum, being out of school for almost 10 years now, my alumni experience has been so positive and has helped me in so many different ways. One of the things that our students learn through their fraternity and sorority experience, is they develop networking skills. Like we talked about, they develop leadership skills. They definitely develop time management skills. And so a lot of the skills that they learn in the Greek community transfer to them being successful in a job and career once they graduate. In addition to that, the vast network that you have just within your own organization, but then also within your council and within Greek life as a whole, you cannot put a price tag on that. So I know I could travel anywhere in the country and I could look up in the system for my organization and find somebody in that city, state, wherever I'm going, who I could immediately connect with because they're my sorority sister, who would help me, plant roots and get my feet on the ground and help me figure out what I need to do if I'm moving across the country. You can also use that for a career. And so I know there are a lot of students who are fresh out of college that use their Greek organization networks to help them get an interview or help them get the foot in the door at a job where they're really interested in working.
That's a great point about network too. I think we've talked about this a little bit before with parents, is that it's all about building your network for college. And this is also a great way to do that as well. So one last question that we have, and of course it's all, always on the minds of parents, is what are things going to cost? And obviously each organization is a little bit different, but can you give parents a little bit of sense of what that financial responsibility is for a student who wants to join?
So this is, again, a hard question to answer because it does vary so much depending on the council. What I typically tell parents, which is not helpful at all, is that it ranges somewhere between $200 and $2,000 a semester. Again, I know that's not helpful because that's a huge range, but it depends on the council. But what I can tell you is that almost all of the organizations have some one-time fees that they assess when you join. And by saying when you join, that means the first semester that you're in the organization. So as a new member, there are some one-time fees that have to be paid. And then typically after that, the dues are less each semester. So what we do tell our students, though, is that in addition to this being a time commitment, it is a financial commitment. And so there are dues that are expected to be paid, and they are assessed usually on a semesterly basis. A lot of our organizations do have payment plans available for students because we recognize that students they're full-time college students. They're oftentimes possibly working a part-time job too, and so they're having to balance all of that. And so there are payment plans that can be set up if they need that. They just have to communicate that with the chapter leadership.
Well, thank you. I think that gives at least some insight in a sense of what might be what they're responsible for. Is there any last things that you would hope that a parent or family member whose student is interested potentially in joining would need to know kind of going into this?
Yeah, so I had a student one time, and I really liked the way that she phrased this, and so I've kind of stolen it from her, but I like to give her credit for it, that she described Greek life as not another thing to add to your to-do list, but a way to get your to-do list accomplished. And so when you think about all of the different aspects of college, your student is going to class, they have to study, they have to do their homework, prepare for tests. We also want them to be active in the community. So they have community service hours that they need to do, ways to get involved with the larger Memphis community. We also want them to grow in their leadership skills, their networking skills, their time management skills. Greek life is a way to accomplish all of those things. And so when you think about your Greek organization, like I said, all of them have study hours. So you have to do your homework anyway. Why not do it with some friends who also may or may not be in your class? You want to do community service hours anyway. Why not do it with your friends, with an organization that you're all passionate about? You want to learn leadership skills, and so why not participate in the leadership programs that your Greek organization has to offer? So it's a really great way to get all of those things accomplished that you're planning on doing in college anyway. You just get to do it with friends.
That's a really great, I love that quote. That's really great. Well, thank you so much, Kelsey, for joining us. We really appreciate it. And we know our parents and family members appreciate it as well. And if anyone has any questions, we are happy to answer those as well for you all when they come out later. We'll make sure and get Kelsey's good take on them too, if we can't answer them. So thank you so much again. We really appreciate it. And we hope all of the recruitment goes well and our students really enjoy their year.
Thanks, Lindsay. I appreciate it.